Welcome to Unlock the Secrets to Big Money in Booming Chinese Industries Virtual Summit. So our next guest is Manfred Huschka. He's a metal surface technology, spent his entire 43 years of professional career in the printed circuit board industry. Throughout those years, he held many positions from manufacturing engineer to director, technology Europe, factory manager and general manager European operations, from director sales Europe to VP global sales. The latter involved frequent business trips to Asia, in particular China, over a 20 years period. He's also a speaker for many international events. Now he established his own company, Manfred Huschka, management consulting in Shenzhen, China. So the focus is on coaching leaders in change management and coaching Western companies to understand the Chinese business culture, including setting up companies in China. He's also the author of several technical books, many technical articles, and 2 books on China's rapid development coming up later 2024. So welcome, Manfred, to the summit. Welcome.
Many thanks, Kelly.
Yeah. So I know you've been doing business with Chinese people for over 20 years, right? So from your observation, what are the main differences between the way Western people operating business and also Chinese people?
Right. It's basically in my previous company, the role as vice president global sales, we were importer into China. Right. So it's unlike most Western people who buy in China. We were on the other side and selling into China, and basically had to realize very quickly that you need local people for it who understand the culture. It's also when meeting with Chinese engineers, Chinese managers, Chinese directors, you realize very quickly that their own business style is so different from Western. Now, Western means European or American, which are somewhat similar. You cannot say they're all the same, but at least they are more similar compared with Chinese. If you look at Western management business practices, it is the individual is there. It is people come up with ideas. People are basically even encouraged to have own ideas, own views, discuss those. And if they are right, this is the way the company will go. Yeah, in a big round table meeting in companies, it will be the manager who's more or less encouraging people. Right? This is complete opposite in China, because at the end of the day, it's in China, it's the mentality of consensus. Yeah, you really need harmony. So, however, on top there is the leader, there is the manager, there's the Ling Dao, whichever way you want to describe the person on top, and it's him in the end who makes the decision. And while there are meetings, like even within a Chinese company, his own managers or engineers, they will rarely ask questions or rarely come up with own ideas, because at the end they expect the leader to have all the answers. So what does that mean when you go into China as a Western manager or a Western senior manager? You cannot expect that the same, how can I say, feedback from your opponents or people on the other side of the table. Yeah, because you can be in meetings where the other side, nobody of the other side is basically asking any questions. Yeah, if you have that experience that for the very first time, you might even just think, hang on, do I do something wrong? Why is that not working? Yeah, it's only over time that you learn about the collective environment, that people after a meeting will probably discuss amongst themselves, and one will might give feedback to the big boss. So this is one of the big differences. somebody has to learn when going to China for the very first time.
Yes,
One
yes.
of the issues there is, as a foreigner coming into China, it is a language that people don't understand on
Yeah.
top of everything, right? Because at the end of the day, even if you say in Europe, if I go to Italy or if I go to France, with being able to speak German and English, I think I can decipher half of a presentation. Yeah, just by trying to pronounce words or look at words that look similar to what I know. Whereas if I go into China, I just do not understand anything. So, and this is where an additional challenge comes in for let's call it a foreigner. So that's what we are.
Yeah, yeah, it totally makes sense. And from my observation, right, the Western companies, usually the C-suite leaders, the CEO, the director, they usually come up with the vision, right? So they are the visionary, and their employee, their staff are usually the ones who implement it, right? Implement the strategies, the plan, right? But in your observation in Chinese companies, it seems like the opposite. They expect the employees, right, their staffs to come up with the strategies, the ideas. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool, cool. And they also mentioned about the language barrier, right? Do you recommend or would you suggest those people who want to enter the Chinese market, want to do business with Chinese people to learn the Chinese language?
In any case, if I look back, like when I came to China the first time was around 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
I felt, to be very blunt, like a deaf and dumb illiterate. Why? Because I could not understand what people were saying. I could not say a word. I could not read anything.
Mhm.
So I depended entirely on my local colleagues to translate everything for me.
Yeah.
Right? So, and this is the challenge is, although there are so many young engineers and young managers who do have a quite good comprehension of the English language in China,
Mhm.
so many of the senior managers just do not speak any English. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically all what you can do as a foreigner going into China, have some polite small talk, yeah, about hello, how's it going, and it's nice to meet you, and that's about it. But if you really want to understand more, you have no other option but to learn the language. And
Mhm.
why? When you have people, like
Mhm.
we had a sales organization of Chinese sales engineers. But what I found out over time, they also had different levels of English language. And in between, I found myself on a few occasions where I just felt, hang on, they're translating something not in the way I
Mhm.
I was expressing myself, but I was saying. And then I said, hang on, if that is the case, that means the other side get an absolutely wrong opinion of what I'm really trying to
Very
say on
true.
about the product feature.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that basically taught me as well that I have to do something about it.
Mhm.
I have to learn. I have to learn the language. I have to learn culture through the language.
Yes.
Yeah, because that goes together. Yeah, you
Mhm.
cannot just say I learn culture without the language. No, or language, it just involves culture just by default.
Mhm.
But yet it's a slow progress.
Mhm.
It's I look back, I never had the opportunity to basically attend any Chinese language classes.
Mhm.
Everything is really self-taught the hard way, speaking it, learning it, depending on people correcting pronunciations. And but today I have no problem talking to anybody in Mandarin Chinese,
嗯，
普通话,
普通话，嗯
right?
yeah,
That is the big difference because what is the perception of Chinese people in the Western world? Oh, they all speak Chinese.
嗯哼，
Wrong,
嗯哼，
wrong, right? Only about, well, at least 30% of the Chinese population does not speak any Mandarin Chinese.
It's a bit dialect, right?
Just imagine that almost a third of the population doesn't speak it, because it's such a big country, like 1.4 billion people live there,
Yeah.
and in a country the size of the USA.
Yeah.
So there are, I think, about what I read, about 80 different languages, and I don't know how many hundred dialects.
Mhm.
So the only way a foreigner can basically communicate in China is by using Mandarin, which is Putonghua, and the other side also have to be able to speak Putonghua.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like as you know yourself, Kelly, it's at home you probably speak with dialect,
Yeah,
rather than Putonghua.
Right.
So if you and I talk in Mandarin, in Chinese, that would be no problem. But if
Yes.
I go home to your place, I might not be able what you and your family are talking about, right? So, and this is basically the same in the business environment, but at
Mhm.
least that way brings everybody to, how can I say, a similar level.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Yes, that's right.
Although I still have to say what I've noticed last year when I basically started my own company. I know where my limits are. Although I can hold a conversation in Mandarin Chinese about almost everything today, but I know where the limits are, what I really understand and what I don't understand.
Mm.
For example, talking to the bank manager.
Mm.
Yeah, and about opening own bank account or company bank account. They're terms which I never knew before, and yet the things been trying to explain to me. So this is something anybody going to China and even learning Chinese has to be aware of.
Yeah.
That, yeah, that at least if you don't understand, ask and
Mhm.
ask again and ask again.
Mhm.
You might just feel, hang on, sorry, they think I'm a child, or why not? But it is the only way.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And you also mentioned to learn the language through, to learn the culture through the language, right? So,
Yeah.
in your like observation, why do you feel like the culture part is so essential?
Well, put it in this way, the culture, what you have in China, it's a mixture of there's Buddhism, there's Taoism, there's Confucianism,
Yes.
and that all has an effect on how people are reared, how they're brought up, what they're taught, how
Mhm.
they basically act in their everyday life. So, and some of those things is, how can I say, are almost alien to non-Chinese people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, like even the meeting style. Yeah, that the boss is there as the boss, the big boss, right? That comes from Confucianism.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it is there when you try to learn the language and learn the culture. It's that when you really learn that as well, and makes it easier to understand.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? So, and the other thing is as well, coming back to the question about Mandarin Chinese, Chinese or any type of Chinese language, but I know Putonghua, so for that reason, it's a very contextual language. Yeah, in look at Western languages, be it English, be it Italian, be it German. The terms and everything is very direct.
Mhm.
You describe something, and that's the way it is. That there's no two ways about it. And if somebody says no, it is no. In Chinese, there is no such a thing. There's no Chinese word for no.
Right.
Right? So, and this is something people also have to learn. Yeah, that everything is described in a context. And part of that is also if somebody, how can I say, doesn't really want to agree to something, it wouldn't just be outright no, because it basically means the
It's
other
very
side would lose the face.
yes.
So, and this is very important. You cannot let the opposite person lose face. So there always has to be a way to, how can I say, express yourself that the other side can still maintain face. Yeah, even if it's just certain words, the way they're used, like take kaolu. Kaolu means I think about it, right?
Yeah.
But everybody in China knows when you say kaolu, that's it, right? That there's no point to waste any second thought about it. That's it, yeah. Or cai
Yeah.
shou, yeah. Cai shou is the same. It just means okay, let's talk again.
Mhm.
It basically means, yeah, we'll talk again whenever.
Yeah.
So, and these are the things as well, which you have to learn when you're there engaging with people.
Yes, makes sense, makes sense. And from your observation, from your experience, like what do you see the difference between leading a Western team versus leading a local Chinese team? What are the differences?
Well, I had the opportunity to lead a Chinese team for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And well, I knew them before because I was there in the function as vice president global sales. I came to China, as I said, 20 years. And it's for 2 years, I was also directly responsible for China sales. So I knew the salespeople, but then having them reporting to me directly was different again. Yeah,
Mhm.
because uh, while I was there in, let's call it a global function, I still relied or had to rely a lot of times on their manager to be the, let's call it the conduit or
Yes.
the one who had final say. Whereas once they started reporting to me directly, it was different. And I have to say, it's something I had to learn that often enough you ask them about their opinion, you don't really get an opinion.
Mhm.
You say,
Yeah.
but hang on, you're the one, the interface with the customer. You're the one there. So tell me, why is, yeah, it's, well, this, it can be that, and maybe, and so again, it took me a good while as well to understand that this is part of the culture.
Mhm.
Yeah. They don't want me to lose face,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? And at the same time, they don't want to be blamed for anything negative. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So, and they rather come up and talk about, I don't know, what do you call it in English, talk about God and the world, and they come up with all sorts of excuses rather than say, that's it.
Mhm.
So you basically learn, you have to ask them in an indirect way,
Mhm.
like how they would solve an issue rather than what is the real issue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where really I found that's the biggest difference.
Mhm. Yeah. So you would suggest the Western leaders ask indirect questions to their Chinese team,
Have
so
to.
they will review themselves.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because at the end, it is all down to face. Mienza.
Right.
Yeah, that is what it's all about.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
That is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So also, according to observation, what do you see the major differences between the Chinese consumers and also the Western consumers? What are the differences?
Between the consumers, a lot of it is due to guanxi.
Mm.
Guanxi is
Relationship. Mm-hmm.
it's a yeah, but it's not just, it cannot be translated in one word relationship
Yeah.
because in the end, guanxi is, well, more or less life. It's a life experience. It is everything you do in China is connected to guanxi. That
Yeah.
is your circle of friends, your circle of business acquaintances, everything you do. And before, you have to basically earn the,
And the
well,
trust.
almost the privilege or the trust, right,
Mm.
to get access to that circle.
Yeah.
So what does that mean with regards to customer and behavior? In the same way, I can basically go and to China and trying to sell my product and promote it, and it may be the best thing you ever heard of.
Yeah.
However, if I don't know anybody, nobody will buy it. People might just look at it and say, thank you. Nice to meet you. Wish you all the success in your business. Bye-bye. Right?
Yeah.
So, but it's the relationship, it's the guanxi. That's why you also need like local salespeople, or for certain types of business or business segments, distributors who know the customers, who know them since a long time, who have the guanxi with. Right? Now, you do need relationships in the Western world as well.
Yes.
But from all that, what I've learned in the differences between different European countries and the US, there is still, how can I say, a bigger similarity than compared to the real deep meaning in China. Yeah, and that really is also reflected in the consumer, because in the end, if you look what's been happening with streaming, yeah, all those KOLs out in China, and there are those big names who make millions. Do they really sell? Because development in the last 2 years is the micro influencers, yeah, where people like you and me stand there in front of product with a microphone and talk it, and where the consumers tend to buy those products more because they can identify themselves with, let's call it, the ordinary person. Yeah, whereas a KOL is somewhat a glamour model, or a big actor or somebody. So, and this also again goes back to guanxi.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So let's say if an overseas entrepreneur, right, he's doing some kind of B2B business and he has no contact, no connection in China. Would you recommend this person at least to find a Chinese business partner to start a business in China? Or
Yes
already
and no.
have the connection?
I tell you, the challenge is you need to find a business partner in China and then find somebody whom you can trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really a big difference, because you'll find so many. Because if you look at it, all the emails I'm getting every day, so many emails. We do this, we do that, no problem. Just we're the best. Our product is this, and sorry, right? And when you go to trade shows and have your own trade show booth, there are so many people come. Oh, we know this and that end user. We're there. We're the best. Work with us. But you have to do due diligence with somebody. Yeah, and that also involves language, cultural understanding. Yeah, it is not just good enough that somebody speaks quite good English, and all of a sudden that would be the suitable person for it. Yeah, you really have to get to know that person as well. Yeah, again, to what the Chinese call guanxi. It takes a while. You have to, before you even work together with somebody, you have to meet with it in person at least once, right? And then the next thing is, Chinese people like food. Chinese people like to eat, right? Yeah. So, and it's part of every, let's call it, serious meeting, is a meal. Either a meal in between plus one afterwards, or the meal afterward. That is so important. Well, you don't talk about business, you talk about everything else. But that also is a mutual get to know each other. So, and this is something you have to do.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the same way, same way, once you have decided on like the business partner, let's call it distributor, agent, or direct business, you don't just, the business is not just done by going there once. Yeah, you have to go there regularly and meet with them as well. Sorry, did you get it?
Right. So that totally makes sense. What you say totally makes sense. And I also witness a lot of the overseas entrepreneurs, they don't understand the language, they don't understand the culture, they enter the Chinese market, just find a person, a partner who can speak the English language. That's it. So this is a common mistake I witnessed from talking to a lot of those people. They want to do business in China. So basically, when it comes to talking to the Chinese consumers, right, any business partner, they just leave it to the Chinese partner to do that, to do all the communications. This is what I witnessed from like some years of experience,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yes. That's right. That's right. So what do you feel like are the common misunderstandings from those like Western leaders about the Chinese business culture?
I would say some of the mistakes are more or less what you just said as well. They expect that the local, let's call it partner, whether
Yeah.
it's distributor, direct salesperson, or business partner, does everything for them. And in the same way as they are expecting it in the Western world. But it doesn't work that way. You know, it's with all best intentions. At the end of the day, the partner in China will always put their own, how can I say, requirements, personal requirements first to make money for themselves first.
Yeah.
Any other partner, Western partner, is second, third, fourth, further down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is IP is a very important issue. Yeah, you can go into China, go anywhere. You see all those knockoff products, those fake products, right? They're there. They make sense because people just say, okay, I can do that as well, but I can make it cheaper. So, and this is also something which, let's call it, Western business people have to understand that a real IP protection is not there. Despite there are laws, everything is fine, but you have to register everything and you have to see through thoroughly. But at the same time, you know, as a person selling into China, I saw enough knockoff products of our materials. And personally, I felt good about it because if somebody was trying to copy what we are producing and trying to sell it at the whatever 30% of the price, it shows us we're doing something right. So this also means for our own salespeople to go out, let's say, look, guys, there's people out there trying to copy us. Be proud of what we are manufacturing. We know how it works and why it works, and just use that as success story in communicating with customers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and this is something that like I say, Western business people, leaders need to understand.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So definitely from what you said, the Chinese business culture is really important, right? So what can you suggest for those like Western leaders to quickly understand the business culture in China?
Quickly understand is learn about China, learn about the country, learn a bit about culture, have a detailed market survey of your product. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, because if China is so big, what I've learned in so many conversations with people and going to so many, let's call it events, workshops, or whatever. China is so big. You cannot just say, okay, I have a product which is whatever. Say that. And I can sell it all over China. That's 1.4 billion Chinese. Sorry, it won't work. Right? Because you need to invest so much money and the return will be low. I've heard of some very successful examples, for example, of Irish whiskey manufacturers and even startup companies. And they have basically started in one city. Whichever city they pick for whatever reason, I don't know. But it's they work together with a company, with a Chinese person who trust was built, who was also living here in Ireland. And he basically started with one city. Now, what is a city? if you talk about a city in the Western world, it's anywhere in Europe is 1 million people, maybe 2 million. Okay, London is a bit bigger, but Chinese cities, if you take Guangzhou, somewhat what, 20 million people, Shenzhen, 18 million people.
That's right.
Yeah, Shanghai, what, 24 million, Beijing, 28 million. So it is just the population of one city itself is the same size, same population as a country, many countries in the Western world. So by even focusing the business in one city, that might help depending on the product. Right? And it's also that certain cities in China focus on certain products. Like in the Western world, everybody's thinking that Santa Claus and all the Christmas presents, decorations, they are made in the North Pole by Santa. But in fact, they all come from, most of them come from Yiwu in Zhejiang in China.
That's right.
Yeah, where that big city is just doing almost nothing else but Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
And just trying to imagine an entire city of I don't know how many million people, and all the factories and subcontractors all work towards those type of products. Yeah, so you really have to look at it from your company point of view. What is the product we're trying to sell? Where is the market in China for it? And then try to approach in the right way.
So that means know your client avatar really well, right? Know your target market really well.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes. Very cool. Very cool. So thank you, Manfred, for your time today. And before we go, do you have any final words to our audience who are looking to enter the Chinese market or do business with China?
Well, put it this way, it's we've talked a lot about the Chinese market. I'm looking back at many years, and as I just mentioned here throughout our talk, China is so big.
Yes.
So what I would like to offer anybody who's interested to learn more about China, contact me through my email address, and I'm going to have a Zoom call where I'm going to introduce a bit about China to you. Yeah, and we could basically have a conversation, a long presentation, where we could even some sort of discuss areas or cities or something where it might be worthwhile for a customer's company to set up business.
Yes, that's a very kind of you. So can you tell us your email address so we can pour on this video somewhere so people can get in touch with you?
That is fine. My email address is very simple. It is manfred@hushmail.com. Manfred is my first name, and Hushmail is Hushka. There's the C missing from my last name, but that is the domain. So, and that will get me and my company, and then we can take it further.
Yes, very cool, very cool. So just go to the email address somewhere in this video, in this interview video, to get in touch with our expert today. And so also stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Kelly.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you too.